Man, we are in London today in the RedBull studio. Some of the best music artists in the world have recorded albums here. It's pretty cool. We are surrounded by some music recording stuff that I don't know what it's for.
We can make some tunes later.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get on
we
it.
make a mixtape.
Yeah, let's do it.
And facing me, a really handsome Scottish man,
Oh,
Danny
yes.
MacAskill. Thanks so much for being on the What Does It Take podcast.
Yeah, stoked to be here, actually. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to try to pick up your little brain a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Should be all right.
You have to be careful what you get of it.
It's going to be pretty crazy. No, I'm just going to start straight, honestly. I just want to know how you felt the morning you woke up after you released that video in 2009 and watching all the views on YouTube.
How did I feel? I don't know. It was fine. I think I got woken up by the BBC News. You know, I think I did have a mobile phone at the time. It was like early. This was 2009.
2009.
So it was a while ago.
It's April 2009, exactly.
And I remember kind of getting woken up, you know, into this woman from the BBC asking if they could come and do an interview. And I remember thinking, we just launched the video the night before, and I remember thinking that's quite unusual. And I didn't have a laptop at the time, so I didn't know how the video was even doing or that kind of thing. So it was, kind of weird. It kind of, from there, it's, you know, in the next few days, almost felt like I was in the Truman Show or something, you know, where it started to kind of get like hundreds of thousands, millions of views and all that kind of stuff. And then
I bet
it was the way it was going on the news, which was even weirder, because it would kind of make mainstream news not only in Scotland, but then it started to be UK wide, and then it started hitting the news like all around Europe, and then had friends calling up from like New Zealand or America and all this. And this is for like a trial. This is like a web edit.
I know, it was crazy.
So it was pretty funny.
And to put the listeners back in the era, it's 2009. Danny MacAskill is kind of like nobody. You are not even a professional writer back then.
No.
Can you tell us a little bit what is Danny MacAskill pre-inspired bicycle?
I worked for about 8 years as a bike mechanic in various bike shops all over Scotland. I would just ride my bike all the time. I mean, kind of like anybody does. But I mean, when I worked in Edinburgh, I would go out my lunch break, you know, my hour lunch break. I would ride the whole time and then eat while I was working. And then after work, I would go ride my bike for at least 3 hours a day. And then, and even on my days off, I'd come hang out in the bike shop, and then I would just go riding all day. So it was just riding at that point.
Just so passionate about bicycle.
Yeah, I just enjoyed it. I never did it for any reason. Like it's just what makes me tick, kind of thing. So
do you sometimes miss your whole life, like back as a mechanic, and like that nobody knows, and that's just ride bike for fun and eats while he walks? Yeah,
there's definitely. I mean, my life nowadays is pretty sweet. I reckon I could get the balance a little bit better with my writing. It's kind of crazy when you become a professional writer. For some people, it depends what their job was before. Some people have like a serious job. It takes a lot of time. You know, you don't have much time to do your hobbies or whatever. But back then, I was writing as much as my body could handle. Sometimes too much. I had quite a lot of tendinitis and stuff back then from writing so much. But it was fun. It was nice and simple. You know, it's just living in a flat with loads of friends, and
man, I remember those days. Like for me, when I was like 16, riding sometimes 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to the spot in the morning with cereal box and some milk, and just like riding all day.
Is dedicated. I didn't quite have that dedication, you know.
Riding all day, every day. And no, that's pretty crazy. So you're originally from the island of Skye?
Yes, that's right.
And so it's a really tiny island, right?
Yeah, there's about 12,000 people that live in the island, one high school. It's a cool place. You know, it's like somewhere I think most people should visit at some point in their lives. It's kind of got beautiful scenery, world famous kind of scenery. It's now like second most popular place in Scotland, I think, after Edinburgh. So it's but it's just still a kind of wee place with lots of locals and stuff. So
to put it in perspective, you are that local guy from Skye that moved to Edinburgh, and as a bike mechanic, and April 2009 you put that video online, and basically your whole life changed at that point? So, and we are just to tell the listener. So there was not really such things as web edits I mean, YouTube web edits were not really a thing. And I remember when I watched it in April 2009, it was a big shock for BMX community because we didn't know who you were. We'd never seen like big bikes before. You know, like mountain bikes were not as big as it is today. And I knew something changed when I watched that video.
Okay.
It was like, I don't know, it was crazy. I was like, whoa, okay, that's a true revolution. Were you aware of that when you posted the video?
Well, definitely not. No. I mean, it's cool to hear that you were watching it back then. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I was I feel like I'm a product. I suppose everybody is. You're like a product of your surroundings, you know, growing up in Skye, especially in Dunvegan, there wasn't much to ride, you know, like I kind of started reading magazines and all that kind of stuff, but you know, you see your heroes doing really cool stuff and all those cool setups, but because I only had this little, you know, bits of riding to do, you had to get a little bit more creative with what you had. And then, I don't know, by the time I got to Edinburgh, I kind of worked on a few tricks, you know, kind of trying to combine some BMX stuff. Like I've always been influenced by BMX for sure. It was mainly trials for a long time, but BMX, like I lived with a bunch of BMXers when I lived in Edinburgh. So I was always looking at the latest DVD, you know, whether it's like Odyssey stuff, all Joe Simon's stuff with Mutiny as well, and just everything really.
Yeah, because not only you released a crazy edit, but you invented a new discipline.
Well, it was kind of not really.
You did.
I don't feel like I did, because I mean my heroes were. I mean, trials by 2009 was getting a little bit more specialized. You know, the bikes had no seats, kind of getting a little bit longer, harder to ride like a normal bike. But my kind of bike sponsor that had been hooking me up for about 3 years prior to 2009, Inspired Bicycles, they were supplying me some frames, and, you know, I'd get the frame and I'd break it after a week or something like that, or the forks, and I would snap that. And then we'd kind of develop the bike for a while. So the 24-inch kind of cider trials, or the street trials, I kind of call it these days, was kind of what I watched some of my heroes doing, you know, late 90s kind of, you know, it was like you can try to ride everything on one bike. You know, it was like you tried to do flowy kind of stuff. You also did the hoppy trials. But I kind of tried to add a few more sort of tricks, you know, I love the idea of trying to do like go upside down in the street, or try to learn how to do tail whips badly and all that kind of stuff. So.
The flare on the tree was like revolutionary.
Yeah.
And did that video made the way your like people looked at you? What did your parents think about like the fame the video got, or your friends? Or you remember?
I remember actually we had a premiere. I remember having a premiere for the film. You know, we kind of just finished the writing. Friend Dave Sowerby, like a real good BMX filmer and writer himself, had edited, and I remember we sat in my flat with my friends and watched the finished thing, and I was quite like pleased that it was done. But I remember looking at it and thinking, oh yeah, it's cool. You know, it's like kind of, and we didn't celebrate or anything like that, but. Yeah, I don't know. My parents were kind of like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of cool as well." I don't know. It's
they were not really like super behind you or whatever.
Yeah, I mean they would. I mean, kind of. Yeah, I mean it was just a weird time. I don't know. I can't really. It's hard to. Yeah. It was kind of almost like the video just took off doing its own thing, and I was just sort of still kind of doing. What I was doing, so it was weird.
And last question about the video before we move on, because it's a pretty big turning point for you. So last subject is that song in the video, The Funeral by Band of Horses, which is one of my favorite songs ever. I wrote a contest to this song.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think I won the 2012 BMX Worlds to this song.
Class.
And I was thinking about you the whole time. And I know there is a backstory with this song, because you never knew that the video was gonna go so viral. Yeah. And at first there was kind of a misunderstanding with the band on you, if I'm right.
I mean, it was you know, I mean, it was the early days of YouTube. I mean, including music for, you know, videos of all kinds, whether it's DVDs and you know, web thing wasn't really on your mind when you're making a video. It was kind of like the Wild West back then. But, you know, we had no we really didn't expect the video to sort of go out with the bike scene, you know. But when it started getting millions of views, I think about a week in, we got contacted by the Band Horses record label. I think it's Soapbox Records or something, which is like a branch of Warner Brothers. And they were like, well, you didn't get permission for this. Thought the video was going to have to come down, which would have been a shame.
It would have been a shame.
Yeah, it's like it started kind of snowballing, you know. But then they started seeing a rise in their sales because of it. And they kind of gave us like an all right, like we didn't have to pay for it and anything like that.
Which was really smart from them, because the video got so much bigger than them. And then I think the video made them got what they are today, kind of.
I mean, for me, the Band Horses were already quite big. Like I'd seen them in some skate films, and like I'd been listening to music beforehand.
It's kind of niche, though.
Yeah,
but
no, for sure.
Now they are so big, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think it definitely helped. I mean, it's kind of like a win-win situation with that stuff, isn't it? You know, you get a really good track, it fitted it all, you know, the writing perfectly and stuff. So
you made someone famous, then you made some.
Yeah.
No, that's sick. And life after that got like, what happened in the next few years? Like, I know, like you got signed by RedBull after that.
I did. I mean, straight after the video came out, all these crazy requests started coming in. One of my friends kind of made a little email up for me, or like a website type thing for requests. But to be honest, like, I didn't want to kind of jump on a bandwagon. You know, I had all these, you know, like all the different energy drink brands, let's say, and then you had all the different like clothing brands, American talk shows. It was kind of crazy. But it really wasn't why we made the video. So I kind of just left that all, you know, I didn't do any of it really. And I was already due to do shows in schools all that summer. So I kind of went and did the shows in the schools. And then at the end of the season, I kind of sat down, kind of got on some management that was in the bike scene. And then I kind of signed up with, cherry picked the best stuff out of that email box.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Yeah, RedBull was a big one. You know, that was the first one that kind of meant I could really do it professionally without just doing shows, kind of thing. So
that's sick. And in that time, is that so you refused a lot of stuff during that summer? Is the Ellen DeGeneres thing one of the things you refused?
Yeah, that was right. I got a request from the Ellen DeGeneres show if I'd go over to Chicago and dress up as her and do some like kind of stunt doubling, and I was like, well, I mean, for me, I was always very influenced by Dave Sowerby, who's like super core in the BMX scene. And even like back in 2009, I tried to think about if I was working the bike shop and somebody else had the same luck with a video on YouTube and started having all these options. If I was watching somebody else go on to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show or other things, I kind of tried to think, would I respect it or would I think that was cool? And I tried to kind of
avoid that.
Yeah, I kind of still do that today. I mean, there's a balance to it. I mean, some people can be too core, and you can miss out on a lot, you know. And you see it in a lot of different sports. But I try to kind of tread the balance between being in the mainstream, doing the interviews for the media and stuff, but then not doing all the kind of cheesy stuff just for the money.
And I think it's what it takes for a random athlete to get to the top. Is like to pick and choose the right thing. And I think you did the right decision not to go on that show, because I don't know if a lot of everybody knows who Ellen DeGeneres is, but to explain to the listeners, like the biggest TV show in America. So you would have been in front of like millions of people, and maybe not in the best, you know, like kind of situation. So it was really smart for you to I think not do it.
It's a funny one. I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe in like later years it would be easier to kind of control what you were doing, but often when you do mainstream media, the main thing for me is trying to make the riding credible. You know, you're always trying to do the best riding you can, show street trials or mountain biking or whatever off as well as you can, and then you can kind of do some of the, you know, jump through some of the hoops for them as well. But at that time, there's no way I would have been able to control it. You know, I didn't know how to say to somebody, a cameraman, like, I'm not doing that because it's shit.
Yeah,
kind of
man,
thing, so.
you told me yesterday you were a guy that were living in a ski resort and wearing shorts and t-shirt because you were liking it.
Yeah. That's
and
that's
suddenly you get called by Ellen DeGeneres to go get her. What's the craziest inquiries you ever got in your life ever? And that you refused, obviously.
Yeah, I remember at that time in 2009, I was asked to be part of a Korean circus for a while.
Of a what?
A Korean
circus.
So that could have been a different career path. To be honest, it's quite hard to. It all seems like one big blur.
So the Korean circus is a pretty big one. So instead of like the Korean circus and being Ellen DeGeneres, you chose the creative video.
Try to.
Path.
Yeah.
The contest has never been like an interesting thing for you?
No, I mean there's competition in the trials world. It's kind of normally you have like a taped out section over like whether it's rocks or obstacles of any kind. And the idea is that you go through a gate at the start and you have to get up and over things without putting your feet down. And you get at the other side and then you get a mark out of 5. If you make it out the other side without putting your feet down, it's a 0. And then if you put 2 feet down, it's a 5. And like I've never been a competition guy. For me, I'm actually really you probably see with my table tennis skills or my ping pong, whatever you call it. I've always been like a really mellow
competitor.
Person. Yeah. Like I don't know why it is. I just I'm really into doing stuff like my own little challenges. But when it comes to trying to beat my friends, I was never like putting in the energy. If my friend was faster, I'd be like, oh well, that's fine. He's faster than me.
Just not a competitor.
Yeah. So, I did do a few trials competitions. We had some local ones on Skye and in Scotland, but I was always just really bad at it. I never planned it out and stuff. So, and with street trials, there's not really ever been any competition format for it. Something I would maybe like to change in the next few years, maybe. But for now, it kind of suits me that it's just more video based.
If you want to see Danny ping pong skill, you can always watch the vlog we filmed in London while we were together. It's pretty interesting. He has a pretty good backhand.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
So yeah, no competitions and no like Korean circus, but 450 million views on YouTube so far of incredible video project for RedBull and for all of your different sponsors. What's your favorite project so far, or like the favorite trick you did in a project?
Oh, it's hard to say, to be honest. They're all I feel with almost all the videos I've done since Inspired I've tried to kind of put the same energy that we put into it. The first one, I learned so many lessons with Inspired. I mean, I don't know what to say. Is the favorite trick I've done since I've been in London.
Since Inspired.
Oh, I guess getting to front flip off the wall on Edinburgh Castle was quite a cool one. I've never done a front flip like that. It's like a tire tap off the back wheel to front flip into a bank. And when I lived in Edinburgh, every day I would look up at the castle, and it's like any rider, you're always kind of riding everything, and even in this surrounding here, like I'm kind of looking at different things that you imagine riding or whatever. But I'd always look at Edinburgh Castle and think that'd be a really cool place to get to ride. But of course, you'd never get the permission. So when I got a chance to go up there and to try to do a front flip off the wall, and I actually managed to land it, which was quite cool. Yeah, that was quite a highlight. It's hard. There's been so many. I mean, there literally has been. There's been so many different tricks that have worked.
I know. Imagine it was sick. I think it's the most viewed one. It has like 89 million views. It's crazy. On We Day Out, we at the end we see someone on the bench that's your dad.
Yes. Yeah.
Has he be like important in your career? How does he sees like your career?
I would say, well, both my parents they've always been really chilled with what I'm doing. I mean, I had a really cool garden when I was growing up. I used to have all these kind of fishing nets that were hanging in the tree. We'd pull them tight between the trees, and you could jump like 20 feet doing double front flips and back flips on your feet onto them. And we'd have big bonfires, just playing. It was pretty loose, And often I would come back into the house, with a cut on my head or whatever, after falling off. And my parents never really gave me any sympathy. It was always kind of like, well, that was a bit stupid. Give me a packet of buttons or some chocolate or something like that, and then tell me to clear off, kind of thing. So they were always like, they were obviously loving, but they were quite kind of hands off in some ways,
Yeah.
And that was the same with my bike. I used to just go out and I'd be building jumps and trying to wheelie up and down the road in front of my house and stuff. And it wasn't like they were like supporting my riding or taking me anywhere to go riding. It was just kind of, they just allowed me to kind of, the freedom I needed to learn, I suppose.
And you think it's one of the reasons you're so gnarly today? It's like
definitely not gnarly, but it's...
You are. I can. You can tell that, but I can tell you.
Well,
like, I
yes.
saw you.
I'm scared as
I saw you do some stuff today, like that. You can see on the vlog that is so incredible.
No, but that's like, that's what I would consider fairly easy, right? If you're riding along the rail, that's kind of easy. It's when you get the guys, like when I see in street BMX, the guys that are like, going in the sort of dead man kind of lines all the time. You get like Nathan Williams or something like that.
I know.
That's gnarly. Whereas I'm kind of like a bit more calculated and like take about a million run-ups and stuff. But
I feel you just like smart with your riding and what you choose to do.
Yeah.
I know you told me that you put a lot of effort in a location scout. And like I invited you to come to Paris earlier today, and you said, dude, I will come visit, and say, yeah, we should film something. And you were like, I don't really have a project there. So you just like really choose your location and project. Can you tell me a little bit what's the process of choosing a project for a video?
So I suppose like I kind of realized quite early on, or basically after we finished Inspired Bicycles, or when I'll start that again. Inspired Bicycles end up being like a massive success or whatever, like,
incredible success.
Yeah, well, it was kind of like, not that we were trying, but it was just, we were lucky. Right place, right time, doing the right riding, right music, edited really well. And then suddenly when I was with RedBull, I was, trying to make the next video. And if I went back to then try to make another street video that was going to one-up Inspired, which I'd lived in the city for 4 years, I'd really pushed my riding to a limit where, most of the tricks were taking hundreds of goes, or they were very specific. You tried to find another tree that's got a transition like that, or the spiky fence, or all those kind of things. So I kind of realized that trying to one-up that video was going to be impossible. So I kind of thought it'd be much easier to go and do something like, basically go and try to find concrete in the Scottish, countryside, with good views in the background. I can use some of the similar riding skills that I've got, but try to just make it more scenic, and it's, give it a very different feeling to Inspired. And we did that, and I spent a lot of time scouting, spent about 6 months probably scouting, because I broke my collarbone 3 times in a row after signing for RedBull. Just stupid stuff like riding pump tracks and trying to ride downhill with world champions and stuff. But we kind of made that video, and really, it was again with Dave Sowerby, and that was we were really lucky again that was a success. It kind of kicked off the style of working relationship I have with RedBull, where they kind of allowed me to come up with a concept, whether it's trying to find like a really cool location, or it might be something that more studio based.
Like
and all that, and all that kind of stuff.
For the listeners, the video Danny was talking about is way back home.
Way back home, yeah. That's the first one, yeah.
That you can watch on YouTube. And you spent like how many kilometers did you drive for that?
Yeah, we did. I think it was 17 or 18,000 miles in the camper van. It's only 300. Crazy. It's 320 miles from Edinburgh to Skye. And we ended up doing about 17,000 miles, driving around, trying to chase the sun around the country. Crazy. It was really good fun. But to answer your question about the sort of concept stuff, I kind of realized that the concept is actually almost more important than the riding, because I've got the writing skills that I've been working on for 20 years or something like that. But if you're kind of trying to one up a video that you did last time and it's the same style, it just becomes really hard to. I mean, certainly in the scene they will understand it. You know, if you end up doing like say opposite tricks and
That's so niche.
yeah, or like if you end up adding an extra 180 onto stuff or things like that. But if you're trying to get these videos to maybe jump out jump out the bike scene, not that it's the be all end all at all, but you can kind of do both. You can do something that really works, everybody enjoys in the bike world. But then I try to think of somebody who has never seen any bike videos before in their life come across one of the videos, they can kind of watch it and understand it. They like the scenery. They might like, they understand what a front flip is, or I try not to do too much like really technical stuff, kind of almost on purpose. And yeah, just trying to find a location is the easiest one to kind of make it interesting. Whether it's like an abandoned city or you build like a big set that's got like looks like kids' bedroom floor with tanks, and cars, and all that kind of stuff. So,
and that's what I mean. That's why I said you are smart with it. It's like you think outside the box instead of one-upping. And we were talking about it earlier that a lot of professional skateboarder, street skateboarder, and a lot of professional street riders, they would film a video part for 2 years. But it's always like gnarly street.
Oh, it's insane.
It's insane. Like, let's say Nathan Williams, for example, he put so much work in a video part. At the end of the day, like only a handful of people are gonna understand. I mean, not Nathan is incredible, but just as to like look in a bigger perspective, it's people are gonna watch Nathan and be like, oh my God, this is like gnarly. But people are gonna watch a Danny MacAskill video and then be like, oh wow, this is they understand, they appreciate it more.
And it's kind of it's a funny one because you don't want to make it pure. It almost sounds like it's like music or something like that, where you kind of get like the real core music and then you get pop. But I think there's a real balance to be done. Like especially when it comes to street. If you can find a location. Like if you could do all the exact same tricks, but if you found, say, like an abandoned factory that had all these rails rather than just being the same, like another 15 set in the street, then you could kind of make a little story around it that just sort of draws you in a little bit more, But same time, it's like I've got insane amounts of respect. I mean, I watch so much BMX and skateboarding and just energy and effort. It is insane. It's insane. It's so inspiring, but I sometimes watch and I'm just like, wow, if you had those skills, I would love to just find like a slightly more interesting location sometimes.
So you have like a good mix of storytelling and skills, and that's what make a great video, and that's what it takes to be like a successful athlete.
The only one other thing that I talked about yesterday, I don't know if this might be a cheesy one, but actually it doesn't matter. I was going to say about the concept stuff.
It does matter.
What was I going to write about the concept stuff? It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
I was trying to think of like I've talked loads about it. Like the concept's almost more important than the writing, but no, it's almost like I was actually wanting to talk about like it's like a wee exercise almost for people to do, in any sport that you're doing. Is like, say if you're wanting to make a video with your friends, a really basically the way I come up with the new riding videos or whatever is like trying to come up with like it's like almost having like some parameters to work to, so maybe it's like your local quarry, if you know what I mean. And then if I were to make a bike video in a local quarry, I would kind of like go there and scout. It might have some like say machinery or some, hopefully an old quarry, not a working one, whatever. Actually no, this is not working. I keep thinking about it as like a thing with a riding video. Like it's like trying to come up with something that's not just the same as what the other person's done. It's like it doesn't matter.
Just like to like frame your project in or like to have
it's kind of the way I love to, when I'm working on new projects, the way I like to really do it is to get like a little book that you can draw on. And then I quite often like, Way Day Out, for an example, was meant to be this slapstick jaunt around the countryside. So what I do is I just sort of thought about all the, if you go out for a mountain bike ride, all the things I would come across on that ride. And then I tried to turn things that are a problem for most people into a trick. That's a really easy way to kind of, it's like a relatable thing, not just for the biking world, but it'll work out with that. But I think that can be the same in street as well. Like, I don't know, it's an easy thing. It's an easy way to work, to make sort of more viral clips, is to kind of think about what everyday people have trouble with and then try to turn that into a trick. That kind of, it's like a... Anyway.
That's incredible. That's so good. That's like...
It's just like a really easy way to do it. Sometimes I'm writing it down. You just write it down. You draw little stickman drawings of what tricks would work, and then you go out and scout and find it. But yeah. But anyway.
You see, it's like I don't know, like street riders, or we see the street in such a different way than people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I always wonder what people think about us when we are looking at like a handrail or a set of stairs, trying to like think about a trick, and you see a bunch of like 25 years old people in the street like looking at a wall, and you're like...
Do you see when you're... Yeah, but see when you're in, even here, does your brain ride, like, have you ridden, like in the interview, have you ridden the table here at all? Do you ever think like that? Like my brain, like I've ridden this entire room, like I've looked at those, what do you call it, DJ
booth
thing, DJ booth, and I've looked at that angle, and I've always been thinking about the riding that goes on in that, or like I can't help but, like I've looked at the cables as bumps, or like G-turn that. God. It's really weird. Do you not do that? I've actually loved to ask other riders how they look at it, because I look at everything that you... When you're walking around, everything for me is like an edge, because trials is all about edges. It's like you've got to have like an obstacle that you can kind of gap to this and that. And like subconsciously, I find that I'm always, even like the slant of the microphone or the stand here, or it sounds almost like cheesy or something.
It's not cheesy. It's absolutely it's mind blowing.
No, but it's just like
this is so sick.
You imagine like 180ing on that. That's kind of how Imagine came about, because I used to do that at the dinner table with knife and fork. You kind of pretend you're Dougie Lampkin or something, or
like
Martin Ashton,
a little kid playing with a car, but you're...
But I always wondered if other writers do that.
Well, I don't, but
you don't do like a routine on the iPad, like
no, because I ride a flat floor most of the time. So
that's what I mean. Like, that's a nice flat floor.
That's a nice little flat floor.
I would look at myself, kind of doing like I've G-turned over that, or... It's weird.
So you've been reading the whole room since we did
especially
the podcast.
When there's angles. Like, I don't know.
This is absolutely weird, incredible. Yeah. It's not weird. It's incredible.
It's funny.
Who's your favorite BMX rider? Quick one. Favorite street rider.
Whoa.
Without thinking.
I would say,
too much.
it's got to be probably Dennis Henderson. He's kind of a good mix of. He just goes massive. Like all the demolition parts. Don't know which one. His most recent one was really good, but the one, is it Caps? I can't remember. The one where he does like a manual tail whip off the end. At the end, it's
demolition. It's
just demolition. the music and the energy and everything like that is.
Yeah, look
rad.
It up. Dennis Henderson on YouTube. He's the fucking man.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah. And then if I was saying like one of the most inspiring sections that I've ever had in BMX, maybe you're going to ask me that, but I would say Ruben's section in Grounded was a massive one for me. That was like back in like 2008. I remember watching that for the first time, the whole of Grounded. I was like, whoa, this is insane. But then his section at the end with the music.
The whole ride.
Yeah, the ride, just the riding, all that kind of different stuff. It was so inspiring. And it was like, yeah, I remember that really was like, I need to try to...
Man, yeah, we came across that spot, that bridge spot where it does the wall ride at the end. And in real life, it's insane. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you've done insane amount of really successful street trial video project, and suddenly I open my computer and I see Danny MacAskill on a mountain bike on the top of a mountain.
Yeah, it's funny.
What's up with that? What was the idea behind it? Tired of street trials? Or?
No, it was the the film you're talking about is The Ridge, which is filmed on the Black Coolen on the Isle of Skye, where I'm from.
Incredible place.
Really amazing place. I mean, when I was younger, I actually never really went onto the tops because it's quite a severe. Pardon me. It's a really sort of severe landscape. You need to know what you're doing. You quite often need a guide or ropes and things to kind of get around. But myself and my friend Stu, who had made the film the year before called Imagine It, we decided that it'd be quite cool to make a little mountain bike film on, up on the ridge. And it was it was really simple. We actually only filmed for 6-7 days in that whole film. Whereas like if you're filming street, you can easily waste like 4 days. I could easily waste 4 days trying to get one trick or something like that, Whereas with the mountain biking, the first almost 2 minutes of the video is me rowing, it's like crazy. And then I clamber around. I don't even do any riding. I'm like walking up the hill with my bike and then do a few sort of little technical bits here and there. But we got an amazing, we just got amazing weather. And it was just a really enjoyable time. But yeah, we had this sort of video finished. I remember sort of looking back at it and thinking, I need to do way more technical riding for this, because I'm used to the trials bike where you want to sort of go big and do big gaps and all this kind of stuff. But we kind of realized that the GoPro footage of me going along these little ledges and with big 400-foot drops on the side was probably what people were gonna
trip about.
Yeah, yeah. I remember kind of being unsure about it, because it was so slow. I mean, I'd found the track by Martin Bennett. It was the right music and stuff. But it was a really big surprise, almost as much a surprise as when Inspired went viral, that this video also went viral.
It got a crazy response online.
Yeah.
And I think it's because that was the bike you were using too. Because I get the same thing sometimes, that people think the trick I'm able to do on my BMX is because of my bike is so special, and you have a street trial bike and people are like, Danny is so good on the bike because his bike is like weird, is all special. And suddenly you do the same thing with a mountain bike. Yeah. And that's like kind of a big shout out to all the people that were talking in a positive way,
Yeah.
Which is great. And you've been keep on riding mountain bike since then. You were riding a mountain bike today, like
it's because I'm
London.
I'm using it in Germany. I would have taken my trials bike if I'd thought about it. I would have definitely had my trials bike here to ride a bit street. But it's quite good fun playing around. You can kind of do some different stuff. I sometimes go riding street on my mountain bike at home just as something different. But the relatability of the mountain bike. I mean, the mountain bike world is such an important one for me. Well, personally, as being part of the scene, but also to kind of get these videos going as well. You kind of rely on the mountain bike world to kind of all watch it and hopefully start sharing it to their friends, and then it kind of goes out from there. But it was such a surprise, especially with the Ridge, that it went
viral
as big
like
as
that.
It did.
Yeah. But you not only do like super successul video, you are like a Swiss Army knife. You are stunt double.
Sometimes
for a movie,
yeah.
You did you have a successful show called Drop and Roll.
That's right. Yeah.
It's insane. You have like your own setup that you go around the world.
Well, when doing shows, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'd say I kind of keep things fairly chilled. It's like a lot of my friends that are. I mean, I do shows with Drop and Roll, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to focus mainly on the writing, and my friend, it's my friend Duncan that's kind of running the team with that, and then I'm lucky I have management actually that helps me.
Tarek and
they kind of really help me kind of deal with all the sort of businessy side, so I can kind of focus on the writing. Yeah,
that was my next question. How do you find time to write and progress with all that busy schedule you've got?
It's a difficult one. I mean, I would say at the moment I've not had the balance quite right. We've been so busy with shows this year, which has been really good. But and it's also been because I've been a little bit injured the last couple of years. I broke my kneecap 2 years ago, and then I had to have an operation a year later after I broke it, just to kind of deal with the cartilage. So I've not been 100% the last couple of years. So I've not been pushing hard on the bigger video projects, and shows are a little bit easier on the body. But it kind of depends. I wouldn't say I try to progress out with the filming that much. I just go and ride for fun. You know, when I go riding back in Glasgow, it's more like going for a jog, putting the music in. I might have one idea for a spot or something that I might go and try to learn, but most of the time I'm not like, I don't ever sort of train on my bike. I actually, you know, I just ride for fun.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the video projects, I kind of tried to come up with tricks that will make the whole concept or idea work, you know. So I kind of tend to, you know, keep my progression for on camera kind of thing. So.
For the like a camera really helps you like to progress.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's the same for me. Like when I have a friend that films, I'm gonna commit because I don't want to like take my friend's time, you know, off. So like,
for sure.
Does you have the same thing? The camera motivates you?
Yeah, it does. It can be quite. It adds a little bit of pressure.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, it's often I'm working towards the overall goals. So I mean, I keep going on about it here, but the sort of concept for the films is almost the biggest thing for me. It's like I have, you know, like whether it's like We Day Out, for instance, it was meant to be like a kind of slapstick kind of little ride around the countryside, and I had all these kind of random ideas, like trying to ride on top of a hay bale down a hill while I was rolling, or jumping on a log and sliding, you know, doing it almost like a tire slide down along a log, or backwards rolls off drops and things. So it's like each one of those tricks is like a piece of the puzzle that you're trying to put together, or gapping from the railway track or platform onto a railway track. It's like trying to do all that. It's like piecing together. Like I have it quite well planned. You know, I tried to do a lot of scouting beforehand, you know, with them, and it's like you're kind of thinking of the big picture all the time of really how, you know, how you're going to feel and how it's, I don't know, just trying to get it all together in one place, you know. So
when I film on like video projects like that, sometimes there's a lot of pressure for me, and with the frustration, I lose my mind. Like I have like nervous breakdown. What was the craziest nervous if you have nervous breakdown, and what was the craziest nervous breakdown you had?
Say one of the funnier ones I had was during Imaginate. There's quite a lot of pressure on that project because I'd been off my bike for about a year I'd had a back operation, so I really wasn't riding well. You know, I pretty much got on my bike about 2 weeks before I started filming Imaginate, and was really feeling pretty not only weak in the body but quite weak in my mind as well. I wasn't kind of very good at sort of dealing with the fear. And you just need time on your bike, don't you? You just need to sort of feel comfortable. So I remember trying to do this one trick, which was a flare. And we had like these big bits of plywood that were painted up to look like playing cards. So there's two of these kind of playing cards against this red block. And I was basically going to do a flare, you know, kind of bumpy kind of flare on this little setup. And there'd be thousands of riders in the world that'd be easily just be able to go roll up to this, but I kind of flare opposite, and I'm really bad at flaring back into a transition. I'd never really done them at that point, so I remember one day having maybe trying like 150 flare, you know, trying it about 150 times, and kept on crashing, front wheel off the side. Left it that day, came back the next day. The weird thing was that all the lights were all exactly the same, so it wasn't like you kind of come back in feeling sort of fresh, and it might be like a nicer day or something was a bit better. It was exactly the same, so all the emotion kind of almost just came straight back in. Tried it again, failed again, and then we actually ended up trying it again for the last day of the project, and I was just losing my mind. It was weird. It was like a completely different me. Because I don't really throw my bike. Like my bike's too fragile to throw. And it's a bit annoying if you throw your bike and you break a wheel, you're only going to be even more annoyed, or you're going to be bummed out that you don't get a chance to try it. You know, if you break your bike by throwing it, then you're really going to be really annoyed at the end of that day. So I don't know. You decide to. That's why I always film with my friends. They kind of know how to deal with me when I'm. You know, they know how to kind of. Because fear does make you do weird things, you know. It's I wish I was kind of like a fearless rider, but it takes me a lot to get myself together to do some of the tricks. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just like completely irrational. If I had no fear, it would make life so much easier.
You're pretty fearless already.
Yeah.
Is there a trick during a project that you thought you could do that you didn't do and that you regret? I would
say one thing I'd say I'm fairly good at. I'm sure most riders are. You know what you're capable of, or you know what you're capable of on a day-to-day basis, and you think, well, if I try that enough, if you try a new trick enough, then I'm probably going to be able to land it. And I would say, of all the projects I've done, I've probably landed about like 98% of the tricks that I've kind of called out.
So like 2% of the trick you tried and you didn't get them?
Sometimes it's to do with time limits and sun going down and stuff, but that's the thing I've been lucky with, especially with RedBull, where I can kind of go back there day after day. Sometimes we'll spend 6 days of filming trying to get one trick, 6 seconds of footage. So that's enough time for somebody to do an entire project or to make a ridge, and I'll do that, trying to film, to slide along a log that's covered in Vaseline, or try to jump on a hay bale that's rolling down a hill, or
you covered that log in Vaseline.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
It was
dude.
It was weird. It got a bit weird. Yeah, my friend Nash was there up to his elbows in Vaseline, lubing it up each time. And
if you see someone randomly walking in a wood and shows up and you are putting Vaseline on the log, you're like, what the fuck's going on?
Like 30 tubs of Vaseline in the mud, looking a bit kind of.
Oh my god, that would be epic. 98% is a pretty good percentage. That's a pretty good percentage, dude.
Yeah. Because you just have to, you just keep going. Because the thing is, you get to a point where you've put so much time in that you can't not land it.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got some good crashes under your belt. You're like, right, this is going to make the film that much better. I really want it personally. I want it for everyone else that's here putting in the time, filming, and you just like...
Personally, I feel like the body hurts less the next day if you pull the trick,
you
know? If you don't pull the trick, the next day your body like feels like you got hit by a truck. If you somehow pulled it, the next day it's kind of like, well, it kind of hurts, but at least I got the trick,
Well, yeah, you get to that point, don't you, where you've tried it so many times, you've had so many crashes, but you've probably not got another day in you to do it, or you'll have to have some kind of recovery because you're going to be bruised, or your wrist's going to be swollen, or whatever else. So, yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one, but you can. I think you just try it enough, and eventually you'll fluke it. That's the way I do it.
Are you think you're still motivated to drop like a mind-blowing street trial video one day?
For sure. Well, I don't know how mind-blowing it'll be. I'll try my best. Yes, for sure. I actually set out to do one in the end of 2017. I was going to do one, start filming in California, but second day of filming, I broke my kneecap, which wasn't ideal. So I'm kind of like, since then, because when you're doing street, you're going to crash so hard. It's so unforgiving. That's what's nice about the mountain bike. You crash in the mud and you're like, oh, this is mint. You can just crash all day and you're like, fine. Whereas in street, you do it and you're hurting, from day one.
You've been talking about a lot of injuries that I didn't hear of at the beginning of my since the beginning of the podcast. Yeah. Do you I know a lot of riders in BMX, they kind of hide their injuries, and so like they sit on clips that they can put online and kind of be like, okay, I'm injured, I have 3 months worth of clips and then I'm gonna reappear. Is this your thing? That kind of?
No, I don't think so. It depends. Some people kind of... some riders have the pressure from their sponsors, on that, or if you... Like a crash here and there. Like I know my friend Martin Soderstrom, he had that kind of problem where he ended up sort of he broke his leg at Crankworks, and then from then ended up breaking it again like another 3 times, and then ended up breaking his arm or something, wrist. He had basically had loads of crashes, and then kind of got to the point where he wanted to hide it from everybody. But I don't know. I'm somewhere in between. I usually tell people I'm injured because you're gonna probably drop off the the filming or drop off the Instagram for a little while or whatever. But I don't know. I try to use my injury time constructively.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's about the only time I really kind of get back into the gym
Yeah.
to do like rehabilitation kind of stuff, because you're really focused on that. It's a good way to kind of get some energy burnt as well. And I usually try to use my injury time to scout, to try to think of what the next thing's going to be.
That's
So
very smart. On the
yeah.
last podcast, Tom was telling us that his injury time was the only time he was on holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Is
true.
it the same for you, or do you like to take time off your bike as well? Because I love a holiday. I mean, I love going on holiday. Do you take time off your bike, or?
Pardon me. No, I wouldn't say I class my injuries as holidays. That's for sure. Annoyingly, the last couple of years I've had my winters taken away from me because of injury. Whether I broke my kneecap or had a knee operation, and it's like the time usually between December to March or December to February. That's the kind of time that I love to be home, riding my mountain bike in the mud, in the wind and the rain. I love it so much, and that I feel like I really need that this year. Hopefully I'll make it uninjured to that point. We'll see.
Yeah.
You never know. Yeah, you never know. But it's but sometimes if you injure another part of your body, it also gives, you're usually carrying other things as well. It gives other parts of your body time to heal, or you can kind of focus on balancing your body back out in the gym and stuff. So yeah, it's just part and parcel, isn't it? It's just like,
definitely.
At least we're not flipping racing motocross or something. That's not, you have one crash and you break 10 bones,
That's it.
or freestyle. I mean, that's obviously insane as well, but trials is kind of a little bit more slow speed.
For me, like, there was like these ankle injuries, and I fell on my head like a couple of years ago. And after that crash on my head, I couldn't really get back to riding street, because it was always in my head, literally. How do you deal with like, you had quite a lot of massive injuries? What's the process of going back on the bike and do gnarly stuff again?
I mean, a lot of the injuries I've had, they're just like little broken bones here and there. Like, I've broken some collarbones and feet and everything else. There has been quite a lot over the years, but I don't know. I never really kind of get too sort of bummed out by the injuries. I'm immediately always just thinking, you've done it, you've broken something. But even on the way to hospital, you're always just thinking about what you're going to do when you're back on the bike. It's not like, I've been lucky because, I mean, sometimes you get an injury that's a lot more complicated. It's much longer sort of term. But I've had a year off the bike here and there. I think the first actually 5 years of professional riding, I was off my bike for 3 years of injury.
Wait, for 5 years of professional riding, you were out 3 years?
Yeah, between having back operation, collarbones, meniscuses, ankles, everything else. So, I'd never really get bothered by it. I would just be like, well, I just can't wait to get back on my bike and to kind of progress. And it can be quite difficult when your mind, in my mind, when I'm off the bike, way back home is a good example of that. My skill level in my mind was going up like this. I was like, I'm going to front flip off the castle. I'm going to jump off this. I'm going to flip off that, And especially when I was scouting in a sling, I was like, yeah, I can do all this. But then when you come back there, and when you're thinking about spots, you're not thinking that you're going to be there when it's raining, when the wind's blowing. And hardest thing is to kind of deal with fear. It's not necessarily fear of injuring yourself again. Let's say it's just more like that instinctual fear that you have that's really annoying. That's just annoying. Like that you think the biggest thing that you think about is bottling it just as you go off the lip. So if you're doing a front flip off the lip, you kind of have the thing that you're going to go, oh no, and that's the worst thing that you could possibly do, and then suddenly you'll splat to the bottom. So I don't know.
You just don't think about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I almost sometimes think I'm like stupid with it, but I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, when I think about it, I'm like, it just doesn't even cross my mind. It doesn't cross my mind that I'm not, and it never has. Even when I was working in the bike shop, and I would have to be fixing bike with my arm in a cast or in a sling or whatever. it would never cross my mind that I wasn't gonna. It's just what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, man, that's what it takes to be one of the best. You
Yeah.
don't even really think about it. I know,
Yeah.
like, when I do scary stuff, and then when I'm actually doing it, I black out in the air,
Mhm.
like kind of.
Oh yeah.
You know, like when you want to jump over a ride or whatever, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so scary, and then when you actually do it, I kind of forget in the
Really?
air that I'm actually doing it. I'm like, and then, okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It doesn't happen to you.
No, I often get the feeling of relief, to be honest. As soon as I front flip, especially some things like front flip, I'm like, finally. Sometimes I've done I did this front flip into the ocean at the end of a film called Cascadia, and
How high was that?
it was maybe like, I don't know, about 60 feet or like 14, 15 meters maybe. Not like what I would consider really. I was actually really confident, like overly confident for that trick, because I'm not scared of water. Like I know that you could pretty much belly flop from that high and be fine. You're probably not going to break a bone. You might burst an eardrum, but the reality is, as long as I don't hit the rocks, it was going to be fine. But the run up actually ended up being way too short for that, and it ended up taking. Like I remember thinking, when the waves are going past afterwards, you could see the rocks going right out under the water. And I remember thinking, oh, I might actually not clear the rocks. Which obviously, if you front flip 60 feet onto rocks, that's a different story altogether. But I remember the feeling eventually, sun was going down. Sun actually went past the horizon, because normally the light's a big drive for me. Like I know it looks good in film. But I remember when I actually took off on that, and it was just such a relief. I was like so relaxed. I was like
In the air,
I was
you
like
were
almost
relieved?
like I was pretty much like smiling as soon as I left. Because it was just
You're
so.
fried.
But there was so much like stress running up to it. Like because I knew that it's like it was our only day we could do it and all this stuff. But it was just so. But then I remember opening up, thinking I was going to hit the sea, and I still had another like 20 feet to go, and I face planting, and. But it was fine, completely fine, and I'd done it again straight away. That's the thing. As soon as you get a feeling for it, then you're like, oh, it's actually not that bad.
There's two schools. There are like my school where you freak out in the air, like, oh god, and then Danny's school where I was just like, finally. It's just too different.
But it's because you build up the stress so much. Sometimes it's such a relief. Even if you land in a heap at the bottom, it's just, especially with the bangers, you can really build up like 3 hours of run. Sometimes if you're tired, if you've been filming for 5 days in a row, it can be really hard to kind of get your mind in gear to, to push through and commit off the edge. And more often than not, it's just a relief. Even if you crash at the bottom, it's easier to crash, get back up, and then go and do it again.
It's always hard on the first try is always hard, people.
Yeah.
What would you say to a random little up and coming rider that wanna make it into trial?
Make it. I think you've got to ride because you love riding. You don't get good at something by getting forced to do it. Well, you probably do, I'm sure. But the reason that we kind of are doing what we're doing these days is because you kind of get obsessed and you have a real passion for doing it. So that's obviously the basics. But then you've also got to just sort of persevere with things, don't you? It might not be what all your friends are doing. You know what I mean? There might be times where other things come along, but if you're really into it, you may as well just go with it and enjoy it. And maybe it might turn into something that you do for a living. You never know. But that's also not the be-all, end-all. You don't, aiming to be a professional, I don't think is the way to go about it. I think you just need to just get good because you love it, and then hopefully the right people will take notice, and then
that's words of wisdom.
Here we go.
I don't think in BMX or trial or like a kid that really, really wanted to be a professional rider and was trying really, really hard to be a professional rider only.
Yeah,
success. It has to come with passion.
Yeah, I think. There's a balance there, isn't there? You kind of get the kid that's just straight away trying to email the brands without actually having any of the skills. But then I think if you get to a level where you're like, okay, I'm breaking loads of stuff, I need a bit of help here, then. But there's so many different ways it can work out for you, Learn some niche tricks, I think, as well. Another thing that I think is really important is to do one thing better than everybody else. You can be one I could think of a few BMXers. Same BMX, you've got like Courage Adams, who's obviously amazing at everything, but his nose manual game at the moment is like better than everybody else's.
Watch his last Instagram clip.
Yeah.
It's
Or I'm trying to think who else is really. Chris Kyle, for instance, really good at going upside down of certain things. You make it your own. I think that's the thing. It's important to learn all the basics, but if you make a few things your own, then you'll stand out.
stand out.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the one. Stand out, boys, and like don't be shy to pick up a camera, go film with your friends. It's so easy to do a YouTube
Especially
channel.
Nowadays. My goodness, you have this thing that you can film and edit on just on your hand. It's like, imagine having that back in the day. Oh, we're getting older.
Woo, we
Getting
do.
old.
We do.
Getting old.
I don't even want to talk about that. I'm sore from writing today, dude. But no, yeah, like be passionate, stand out, and yeah, just get the word out there that you are passionate. Still, there are like some kids pushing, following your your steps, because you definitely paved the way for them. And when I'm thinking about drop and roll, when I'm thinking about you, I'm thinking about Fabio Wibmer, who is also an incredible street trial biker who released an incredible video, Wibmer Lows. What's your take? What's your take on this?
Fabio's, he's awesome. I actually did a what did I do? I did like a thing with RedBull. Sorry, we'll get there. I'm trying to think what it's called. I basically did come and ride with me type thing in Germany. I can't remember what it's called.
Under my wing?
Something like that. Or it's like that, or Wings. It wasn't Wings Academy, because that's something
Wings
else.
Academy. So like to explain to the listeners, it's basically RedBull is organizing this Under My Wings project where they ask one of their main athletes to have a kind of a class with amateur riders.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And they get to spend a few days with their hero.
Yes.
And it happens that one of the kids that spent time with you
was Fabio.
Fabio.
Back in 2012. But I remember when I first met him, the first time I'd ever seen him, walked into like a campsite, and there was a little 2-foot high kicker, and he comes along and does a backflip, and I'm like, oh well, I'm not going to be able to teach him much, But since then, we kind of got him onto drop and roll, I think 2014 or something like that. And he was already really starting his YouTube channel, putting out all sorts of kind of street trial videos. But he's since gone on to just make some insane stuff. And he's not only really good at writing, he's really good at thinking or using his writing really creatively and smartly. You know what I mean? He's... there's so many what look like really obvious ideas, like kind of getting back on the mountain bike or downhill bike and sending big stair gaps, his urban freeride kind of videos. And then he's still got, he's really got all he can do. He wins the best whip. He wins the whip offs at Crankworks, and then he can also send it on the street trials bike. So he's kind of really got this amazing foundation of riding. It's almost like too good to be true, and he's absolutely kicking ass on YouTube as well. So and really cool guy. So what's
your feeling when you look at that? It's like it pushes you, or you're like, whoa, he's too far ahead.
It doesn't really. It's not necessarily pushing me. I'm just really stoked. It's. There's sometimes they're quite a different style. Sometimes the videos, it's maybe a little bit less focused on, say, music and certain things like that I would be really into. But he's just a kind of newer generation. He's the kind of real YouTuber kind of style. And I mean that in the the sort of best way, because I don't really feel like a YouTube. All my videos go on YouTube, but I'm not a YouTuber. Although I did start a channel this year because I thought I may as well. But I don't really feel part of that community that much. It's
kind of hard for me too, like to get onto the YouTube program.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I don't know how I feel about it, because there's so much crap on there. It's unbelievable. There's so much rubbish, but it's also the place that if you're wanting to search a video these days, it is the video search engine on the internet. So it happens to be the place that you put your edits, but
you rather put like one incredible video project a year, where like instead of 200 vlogs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because when you started your YouTube channel, I was like, is he gonna start vlogging or stuff like that?
No, I would like to do maybe a little bit more. You know, it just kind of worked out that it's easier to do it for my sponsors' channels. I mean, obviously, if you have your own channel, it can be easier to kind of get your videos kind of getting bigger views, but that's not really what it's about for me. It's kind of, I don't know. I just really enjoy just putting a lot of energy into a little, I don't know, like not an edit, web edit. Do you call it a web edit? I think of them as a part. If I was making a part for a DVD, which they don't tend to be around so much these days, but that's kind of what I grew up watching. When a writer's got their part and you put everything you can into that to make it the best it can be. Yeah,
I'm the same way. Maybe because we are maybe a part of the older generation, and we got inspired by this guy. So now it's kind of weird to like put ourselves out there every day on YouTube or whatever. So
it's there's a balance to it. It's like I don't know. You can do it. You could do it credibly as well. There's so many opportunities with the internet these days. And your stuff can go so far and wide, and it can be done really credibly as well. So it's I don't know. You never know. And everyone's got an amazing camera in their pocket.
Yeah. But you're still killing it on Instagram though. You are like 1.2 million followers on Instagram at Danny MacAskill. If you're listening to that podcast, which is pretty incredible. How much work do you put for your Instagram?
Not much, to be honest. I should really do a lot more. You should try to do kind of daily posts. I go through phases. If I'm at home, then I tend to do more Instagram stuff. I try to keep it mainly video based. Doing little. I mean, I feel really lucky with trials. It's quite a niche part of biking. People don't see so much of it, so. I find that I can, especially if I go on the mountain bike or on the trials bike, I can quite easily do something that I'm reasonably happy with, and they seem to go down quite well. Especially as I say on the mountain bike, you hop up a railing on that, and it doesn't really take that much more effort than the trials bike, but it kind of people view it as way harder than it is, kind of thing. So, yeah, long may that continue.
You are so smart with choosing it. It's incredible. What's the funniest Instagram DM you ever received?
To be honest, I don't really.
You don't read them?
No, sorry, folks. I don't.
I was gonna say that was gonna be my last question. Like, do you care about what people think of you? But no,
I just don't really. Well, I don't really. I mean, I still try to think of that person in the bike shop. That's always. There's still that quality control that I like to have in the back of my mind. If I was, still working, fixing bikes, and I was watching somebody else doing what I'm doing, would I think the stuff that they're doing is credible? And I try to always think about that. Even with Instagram, sometimes you kind of maybe get lured into, I will post some stuff and I'm like, oh, that's not really, but it's only Instagram.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Everybody's trash.
It's not, well, yeah, kind of. It's not, yeah. I mean, if it was going on to if it was going to be part of a kind of more timeless thing, like a part or something that goes on YouTube or something like that, then, my quality control's way higher.
Yeah.
So, but it's an amazing, it gives us amazing opportunities as athletes to kind of
promote ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
To be your own brand.
Off. Just to look how good we are. Here we go.
Here we go. Look at me.
It is funny, isn't it? It's a funny world.
It's a funny world.
But I'm not good at it. I sometimes drop off Instagram for a few weeks at a time if I'm not really, if I'm not writing for myself that much, then I tend to kind of drop off for a wee bit, and then sometimes you kind of post a little bit more. So
but you're still so good at navigating like through it. You can tell that you are not trying hard, but like still. Yeah. It's still really good for you. If today, like, I show up with an unlimited budget for a video project, what would be like your ultimate dream? Like anything, just go to the moon or whatever. Just think about the craziest
the moon's
thing.
An obvious one, isn't it? I mean, who wouldn't want to ride in the moon? That would be really cool. I mean, the thing that we're really lucky with is that it's not like RedBull will be putting in unlimited budgets.
Kind of.
But it's not. I mean, it's not like you kind of. if you have the right idea, then they can sort of make it happen. But it's not like you sort of walk around thinking, right, gonna need to spend loads of money. If anything, I try to think about ideas where I can, like a lot of the videos I end up doing in Scotland, just because all the riding's on my doorstep, I can scout it easily. All my friends live there who film there, so we spend less money on hotels, flights, and we can, return to spots as well. If you fly halfway around the world to make a film and you don't get that clip that you really wanted, then you're probably not going to get the chance to go back there. So, yeah, but that wasn't a very good answer to that. But anything, if I could go and do anything.
Like to give you an idea, like for me, if I have unlimited budget, I would try to do that project on helipads. Just try to find 10 incredible helipads and just put them in one video.
You shouldn't be giving that idea away. You should just be going and doing it.
I know, but
it doesn't need an unlimited budget. That's
help.
I've already scouted half of them for you. So.
What's your dream project?
That's all I'm thinking about all the time. Anyway, for the last 10 years, that's all I dream about. So you see them. That's the last.
You did everybody's dream project. You went to ride in the Playboy house.
Oh fuck yeah!
Should we talk a bit about that?
Well, that was like a RedBull US thing. They kind of I was supposed to go there for a photo shoot, and then I was basically, they told me to get my bike ready to go somewhere for a photo shoot, but to end up in the Playboy mansion. So it was. I was a little bit worried, to be honest. The guy working the bike shop in me was a little bit worried about it because I thought it was going to end up being
a pimp.
Well, no, I thought it was going to be like cheesy kind of thing, which it was.
Yeah.
Like luckily there was some kind of writing in the grounds and stuff, but
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great.
No. It was pretty funny. I got to actually film with Robin Fellon. Is it Robin Fellon?
Fellon, yeah.
Yeah, that was and I can't remember who else filmed it, but anyway, that was a.
Was it awkward?
Yeah, it was super awkward, and I'm awkward around that kind of stuff anyway. I was like, this is weird, but it's fine.
Oh yeah,
it's fine. I was surprised that it ended up being like a wee video online. I got some shit from the mountain bike world for that, but it was fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what your childhood friends back home think about Danny MacAskill 2019?
They are the same as ever. That's why I love going home to Skye. It's pretty much just the same. I kind of fit in the same place I did in school. Like I was always kind of in the middle of all my friends and different groups. And I think if I tried to go home trying to be Billy Big Balls, thinking that I was thinking, as we say in Scotland, if I thought I was Archie, kind of with my sunglasses on, my RedBull medallion, or monocle, as you say, that's a monocle.
Danny had a eye surgery last year, and you can't really see from one eye.
No, not really. No, but I only need one anyway. So, but yeah, my friends back home wouldn't, they would definitely knock me down a peg or two. So it's nice just to go home and, to be honest, most of the time in my life, it's like that. It's just a lot of things have changed since 2009, but a lot of things haven't. I still live in a flat with 7 friends in Glasgow, and
you still live in a flat with 7 friends in Glasgow?
There's like 2 flats together that we rent, and it's kind of pretty chilled.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. What would you tell to little Danny pre-2009 if you were to see him, like right now?
Wow.
Like before you press the send button on YouTube?
I would say do not do 5 360s in a row off a bridge in Glasgow for an advert I did in 2009 because I tore a disc in my back, and it's been like the single sort of biggest pain in the ass injury ever. Like everybody talks about having a sore back, or when you're younger and you hear somebody older saying that they've got a sore back, you think, oh yeah, whatever, it's fine. But when you do actually have back pain, it's pretty debilitating, especially when it comes to riding, because that's where all your power comes from, your core and all that kind of stuff. So I would rather not have a sore back these days. But is that
the only thing you regret?
Pretty much. I don't even regret that, because if I hadn't done that, then I don't know what I'd be. Things might have turned out different. So yeah, it was. I don't really have any. What would I say?
Regrets. Well, if you don't have any videos, that's great. Huh?
No,
Like,
I don't really
good
have any.
for you.
I don't have any regrets.
Good for
no,
you.
I don't have any regrets.
What's your next video project or next project you are stoked to work on?
That'd be telling. I've got one coming up with GoPro this year, which I'm really excited about. Pardon me. And then should I start that? Can I start that one again?
Of course.
Yeah,
what's your next video project or project that you are stoked on?
I think I've got one coming up with GoPro this year, which is going to be really cool, and another bigger one with RedBull as well. And they're hopefully both going to be done by Christmas. So I might get rid of the 2017 Christmas belly that's still rocking here.
Man.
So
Wait.
I'm looking forward to that. Actually, it's going to be cool, kind of getting back in front of the camera. It's been a little while, so yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we ate quite a lot of sugary stuff and pastries today. You can watch the vlog that we released at the same time of the podcast. It was incredible to get to spend a couple of days with you. We always see each other at the party and small talk for 5 minutes. And after spending 2 days with you, I can say that you are even more incredible than I thought you would be. And no, you are an incredible human being, and thank you for that. Did I miss anything?
I think that's about it, really. I don't know. I can't really think what else. We've been talking in a while, so.
Any shootouts maybe?
I don't know. I'm not used to shoutouts. Yeah, just all my friends that kind of make it happen, really. And same to sponsors for being chilled and supporting what we do. So that's about it, really. I don't know what to say. I'm not used to shoutouts. I don't know what I do.
Well, thank you for being you, Danny.
Cheers.
It's been an incredible pleasure to interview you today.
It's been awesome.
See you soon.